I'll take it. Thank you. Hello. Thank you. Thank you. We're going to start now. Appreciate you bringing it down. So are you on the tennis side or the pickleball side?
On the tennis.
Okay.
Or as an overseer.
Yeah. Got it. Thank you. Who? Kate Craig? Oh. Sure. Okay. All right. We're going to start anyway. Mark, are we ready? Oh, okay. We've got 2 minutes. Why do we always run late for the... Hi. What's your topic? What are your topics? Okay, got it. Oh, do you have graffiti? I'm the graffiti abatement person. Oh, I'm the abatement person. I do it. No, nobody else does it but me. So I'll have to. Well, I didn't know about it, so no, that doesn't matter anything. Nobody does anything except for me. Oh no, it's not. Anyway, so no, I'd like to know. So it's on. Yeah. I'll take care of it. I'll take care of it this weekend. Yeah, because what color are the boxes? Because I have different. I'm going to call the Oak Park MAC regular meeting for October 26th to order at 7:03. 7:03. Just a minute. I'd like to do a roll call. So Seema Chandra is absent. JL Diaz?
Here.
Michelle Santucci is absent. Brian Trashinsky?
Here.
Florence Wang, our student rep, will be late, and I'm Jane Nye, the chair. I'd like to do a Pledge of Allegiance. Can everybody stand and put your hand over your heart? Are you ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So before we begin, I just want to make a note, because we have several people here that want to speak about the tennis pickleball situation, and I just wanted to mention that it's not on the agenda today because we cannot do anything about it. And because it's not on the agenda, the board here, the MAC Council, cannot speak to it or respond to your comments. We'll listen to everything you have to say. So I just wanted to say that up front. Mark Perryman, who's Supervisor Gorell's Chief of Staff, will talk about some of the subjects in his remarks in item number 9. But everybody will have a chance to speak. If you have you came in just recently, please fill out a comment card up in the back, and I'll take you in the order that I get the card. There's also another topic from Rancho Simi Park and Rec, and that's about the redistricting. Again, that's not on our agenda because we don't have any authorization over that topic. We won't be discussing it as a board today, but if you have any comments, thank you. What's your topic?
Outdoor tennis.
Okay, thank you. So I'm taking the comment cards in order that they come in. We're going to limit the conversations in the public comments to 2 minutes because we have quite a few people. The next item is item number 4, approval of the Oak Park MAC meeting minutes from September 28th. I'd like to ask the MAC if they approve the meeting minutes as written, and if so, I'd like to ask for a motion and a second.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
I'd like to take a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Any abstentions? The motion's passed unanimously. We're on to item number 5, the agenda review. I'd like to ask the MAC if they approve the agenda as written. If so, I'd like to ask for a motion and a second, and then I'll take a voice vote.
I move that the agenda as presented be accepted to and adopted by the MAC.
Second the motion.
Okay, I'd like to take a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Any abstentions? The motion's passed unanimously. We're going to move on to item number 6, public safety reports. We're going to start with Officer Ryan Ayers from the CHP. If the speakers could come down and use the microphone down here, that would be great, because we're being live streamed now.
Is everyone here?
Welcome, yes, thank
All right.
you.
Hey everyone, thanks for having me back. I'm Officer Ryan Ayers with the Moore Park, California Highway Patrol Office. Just have a couple things, nothing major, which is a good thing always. We're continuing to kind of work some parking complaints throughout Oak Park. We've been trying to clean up specific situations, especially the trailers that have been parking different places and keeping track of them. And we're just kind of trying to stay on top of where they keep moving to. So I think it's been pretty successful lately, but we do encourage if you see them longer than they should be there, let us know. Also, the traffic patterns and different safety concerns throughout Oak Park, mostly in the school zones. That's kind of been our big focus, especially right now with October being Pedestrian Safety Month. So let's see here. Just recently, it was out in Camarillo, but just recently some of our CHP detectives on one of our specialized task forces located a stolen vehicle. It was occupied down in Camarillo near the outlets, and they were able to contact that driver. That driver actually kind of tried to flee, striking multiple vehicles for both our department and the sheriff's department, and had a little bit of a standoff in the parking lot for a while, but ultimately we were able to take that suspect into custody for vehicle theft. He was actually being watched for other property crimes throughout Ventura County as well by the Ventura County, one of our task forces, joint task forces. So that was kind of one of the big things that we've been working on for a little bit of time on that driver. See here, about 2 weekends ago, we were, Moore Park CHP was able to be present at one of the safety fairs or safety weekends, I should say, at the Underwood Farms, which is kind of a collaboration of all first responders throughout Ventura County. And it's always nice to see the kids and the families in those non-enforcement, non-emergency situations and have those good interactions with the public. So that was a good event for us to see you guys out there. Last weekend, I actually had the privilege to go be part of a charity event for Sunny Horses for Kids out in Somis that benefits special needs, underserved kids throughout Ventura County. And it was a really good event out there. We had a lot of, about 400, 450 participants at that event. It was really fun to be part of and see the kids at that event. Coming up here next week, all week, we're going to be out at Oaks Christian. We're going to have some representatives from Impact Teen Driver. That's a national organization that helps the California Highway Patrol in specific situations, especially trying to combat distracted driving. And we're going to be out there all week working with the students at Oaks Christian, kind of at the lowest level, like the beginning new drivers and their friends, and which are their passengers, trying to help them understand that anything you do in that car is going to affect your driver as well. So, and then I think lastly, does everyone remember the club, the big steel bar that we'd put on our cars to prevent auto theft?
Yeah.
Well, we are going to be partnering with the Ventura County Sheriff's Department pretty soon, probably in Thousand Oaks, because they have the facility that'll accommodate this, to give away clubs to owners of specific models of Kias and Hyundais. They are a hot target right now, easily stolen because of a flaw in the ignition systems, and we're going to try to help combat that by giving these clubs away and giving some advice on how to secure vehicles a little bit better. So stay tuned on that. I think that's pretty much all I have. I'm not supposed to ask for questions, right?
No, you can.
Oh, I
Go
can?
ahead, please.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Good.
thank you. We're so
Good.
happy to have you here.
No,
Officer Ayers.
it changed a little bit, so I apologize. Normally I do, and I just wanted to make sure that was still
No,
appropriate. So,
yeah, thank
all right.
you so much. Any
So-
comments or questions for Officer
Yes.
Ayers?
Oh, our honor. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
So lately, I've heard some robberies or some stealings in our neighborhood. We used to hear from communities near so we're a little bit far right, but I heard some happening like that. So our community is trying to build a neighborhood watch program. So is that something that's realistic or something that
Yeah, and
We have the Sheriff's Department here too,
Yes,
that she'll
perfect.
speak.
So you should be able to speak a little bit better to that, but we always recommend absolutely. I mean, neighborhood watch is going to be beneficial in the sense that you have a community, an organization, or a group that if you see something, you can say something by calling 911 or dispatch, the non-emergency line. But you can also alert your neighbors to things that you've seen or maybe patterns that you've seen, and talk amongst yourselves and come up with a good decision on how to move forward as well. So yeah, definitely a good option. Yeah.
Any other questions for Officer Ayers?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
The trailers that are being parked, are there hot spots, hot zones where they are, and why are they there in that hot zone?
So anywhere, I mean, kind of the pattern would be anywhere that's on like either a side yard of someone where it doesn't front a house, near open spaces. Near Media Creek Middle School, there's a lot of areas over there that are either near a park, a school, or a church that people kind of frequently park, feel like it's not hurting anyone because it's not in front of someone's house, and so we hit those spots pretty heavily, but they're everywhere really. And just to be clear, the standard, and it's a vehicle code and an ordinance for any vehicle, is 72 hours. So I know we've been working on one vehicle that's been kind of parked different places for a couple weeks to a month, but if we're not there and see that vehicle all the time, the report to us is beneficial. So
these are people living,
they're Oak Park residents, yeah.
they're Oak Park residents living in the trailers?
No, just parking them
They're
there.
just parking the recreational vehicles?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a whole nother ordinance, a whole nother issue is camping in vehicles, and that's, anything else? No?
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, guys.
We do have more public safety reports, but I want to Some people came in a bit late, and if you you want to speak, please fill out a speaker card and bring it down to me, and I'll take the speakers in order that they give me the cards, so everybody will have a chance to speak. Next, we have Chief Guillermo De La Rosa from the Ventura County Fire Department.
Good evening, everybody. Again, my name is Guillermo De La Rosa, Battalion Chief, Ventura County Fire Department in the Conejo Valley. Here in Battalion 3, I've got 3 updates for everyone. The first thing is the seasonal outlook. So as you can see, obviously we've had a lot of rain this prior season. Our hillsides are starting to slowly turn green again. Temperatures are starting to lower. With that being said, however, this is the time of year where we start to get our Santa Ana wind events, which coincidentally, we have one coming up this Sunday and Monday. So just know that your fire department is upstaffing. We're going to be in a Plan 1 brush, so we'll be better poised to respond to any wildfire type of incidents. Also, we like to encourage our citizens to continue with your fire hazard reduction program, kind of, that separation between your fuels and homes. It's a year-round program, but really only enforced during fire season. But we encourage everyone to continue with that effort and to stay vigilant with it. Next is Firewise USA. Not sure if everybody has heard of that, but it's basically a national program that's supported by your local fire departments. Basically, communities come together. They work together as a team. They organize, and together collectively they implement defensible space within their communities and make their communities safer. Basically, what that does is 2 things. First, obviously, it's going to make your neighborhoods a lot safer during wildfires, increase the chances of your homes not being damaged by fire, and then also it makes our job as the fire department a lot easier and safer when we come in to your neighborhoods during a brush fire. It really makes a situation that sometimes seems impossible. It makes it possible for us, so we appreciate that. If you are interested in that, you can reach out to our fire department through our FHRP program, fhrp@ventura.org, and we have the responsibility to come out and present that information to you as a community. Since we've started doing that, we have 40 new communities in the county who are in the process of becoming Firewise USA communities. So that's some information for everybody. Lastly, this past October 12th through 14th, October 12th through 14th was our Fire Prevention Week. And we were able to get Chef Gordon Ramsay and Aaron Sanchez, the TV chefs, to come out to our training center and hang out with us a little bit. They were able to film a public safety announcement about being safe while you're cooking at home. So if you've been able to see it, it's a pretty good couple clips on YouTube. Obviously, it aired on TV. If you haven't seen it and you would like to see it, you can go to our fire department's YouTube channel, and everything is there. Those are the big kind of updates currently, and that's the end of the report unless there's any questions.
Do we have questions for Battalion Chief De La Rosa?
I have a comment,
Yeah.
Madam Chair. So the Oak Park Fire Safe Council also started a program to initiate Firewise community for Oak Park. If you want to participate in that program, visit us in our website, opfsc.org. That's Oak Park Fire Safe Council, opfsc.org. Thank you.
Any questions for Battalion Chief De La Rosa? Thank you so much for
Thank
being
you.
here. Next, we have Deputy Maribel Ambrose from Ventura County Sheriff's Department. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. My name is Maribel Ambrose. I'm currently assigned as a detective out of our Thousand Oaks station. Just a few updates here. Luckily, there haven't been any recent crime trends noticed in the Oak Park community, which is good. However, there have been several commercial burglaries and residential burglaries on the Conejo Valley. Our career criminal unit have been working with other law enforcement agencies to identify most of these suspects to these burglaries and crimes. There was an incident a few months back where there was a rash of residential burglaries on the Ventura County side of Oak Park. There was also an incident on the Los Angeles County side of Oak Park where there was a shot fired called during one of the residential burglaries. There were 3 suspects, all have been identified, 2 of which have been arrested, and that third outstanding suspect does have an outstanding warrant out for their arrest, so we're hoping to get that last person in custody here shortly. We've been working with the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department as well to make sure that they've assured us that they will allow the Ventura County District Attorney's Office to prosecute all 3 of those cases. So that's always a good thing. Overnight, last week on the 19th and 20th, there was graffiti vandalism that was reported at Medea Middle School, Oak Park High School, Deer Hill Park, and Flood Channel near Covewood Street. 3 of the incidents are potentially related. 2 suspects were identified in one of those vandalisms. They appeared young in age, but our major crimes unit is working diligently to identify those subjects. And then lastly, the CVS on Lindero Canyon is still a target for shoplifters. We recently caught shoplifters from Los Angeles County coming over when there was an employee and a citizen that saw something out of the ordinary. So they called the police, recognized right away, and luckily there have been some people that we've taken into custody for that. So that's pretty much it. Remain vigilant and keep up the good work.
I have a question for you,
Absolutely.
Deputy Ambrose. So I do a lot of the graffiti abatement in Oak Park. The ones that you just noted, have they been cleaned up, or am I to do that?
No, I don't know what the update is there. I can contact our major crimes unit detective. I actually spoke with him this morning, so he did not give me an update whether they've been cleaned or not.
Because
but-
I've been doing the abatement in this
Sure.
area, so I have like a ton of different color paints, and
Sure.
I just haven't heard about it, so I haven't
Okay.
cleaned it up, but I usually try to address it within a day.
Gotcha.
So maybe I can contact you and we can
Absolutely.
coordinate on the addresses of where the graffiti is.
Happy to do so, yes.
I think we have a resident that gave me some inputs on graffiti.
Yes.
So I'll take the cards in 1 minute. Let's finish up with our officer. Wait, if you can wait until the officers. You'll have to bring it down to me after Officer Ambrose is complete with her report. Any questions for Deputy Ambrose? Anybody in the audience that would like to ask a question for Ventura County Sheriff? Thank you so much. We appreciate your time. Thank you for waiting. Can you bring the card down now? Your cards. I'll take them in. I'm taking them in the order they've been given to me. So I'm sorry. You have hers as well? And they have the topic as well. Okay, great. Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. So for the people that arrived late, I just want to mention that even though we'll take your comments on the tennis pickleball issue during public comments, it's not on the agenda, so it's not a topic that we can discuss as a MAC, and we can't take any action. So I just want to set that expectation for the folks that came a little later, but we'll listen to all of your inputs. Thank you. So we're on to item number 7, the consent agenda. It's item number 12. It's kind of complicated, but matters listed under the consent agenda are considered routine, non-controversial, are normally approved by one motion. So I'd like to ask the MAC for a recommendation to receive and file, and if they want to pull the item or they want to leave it in the consent agenda and just receive and file.
Make a motion to receive and file consent agenda as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I'd like to take a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say no. Any abstentions? The motion's passed unanimously. We're on to public comments. So I'm going to limit the comments to 2 minutes each, and I'm going to try to time it. I mean, I'm just going to look at my phone. I don't have a timer going. But I'll start with the first one I received, and we've got Stephen Cazell. So you said that you want to talk under public comments and also under item 10. So Stephen?
Left the room.
Oh, okay. The next person is Sue Dermott. If you could come down to the microphone, that'd be
Steve's
great.
there.
I know, he's missed his chance. I'll put you up next, Stephen.
Oh, he can go.
Stephen, do you want to talk about your general comments and also talk about item 10 during item 10? Or do you want to bring them both up now?
I will do item 10 during item 10 and then just general
Okay.
comment right now.
Thank you so much.
Okay, I just
So we're
want-
limiting everybody to 2
Yeah.
minutes.
Very fast, because we've got a
Thank
lot
you.
of folks here. Recently, there was an obstructed drain line or storm drain up on Holly Tree that was brought to the attention of the county to clear. And that flows into the aqueduct that goes under Canaan Road by Oak Hills and drains out there. There were some trees blocking part of the outflow of that, and there were some issues with the plugged line still. The county came in, and initially they just cleared the trees that were blocking the outflows from the Oak Canyon Park under Canaan Road, but then they brought in a tree removal service for the space of a week and cleared another 200 feet of the riparian habitat and the stream bed there. If you could look at it, you can see it's a problem. I've tried to call them and ask them, do you have a biologist or something? And they started intervening, but then it just stopped. So you can look at it, the work is done. It's going to take a while to recover. It's been clear cut, which is a huge problem because it's going to cause more problems with flooding afterwards because you don't have anything to slow the flow of the water down. So I wanted to bring that to the attention of the supervisor and of the MAC so that we can perhaps look into this and maybe going forward make sure this doesn't quite get to this point in the future. You can't uncut the trees. And those are my comments, just to let you know.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you, Stephen. Appreciate it. We're going to move on to Sue
Is that the one?
Dermott. Welcome.
Hi, welcome. Thank you. I'm here today to ask your assistance with the Rancho Simi Park 10-4 decision to remove the tennis courts, and they're allocating $200,000 to expand pickleball on the Deer Hill courts. We don't have a city structure, we don't have a mayor, we don't have anything like that. We've got you guys, and you are our voice. And so we're coming before you, a whole bunch of us today, to just ask for help because we're not sure that decision was totally made with all the information and factual facts. You look at some of the facts that they're talking about, 12 out of 220 plays at Deer Hill Park were tennis, but tennis players know not to go there because the pickleball people have taken over those courts. But there's a lot of residents who live around those, the surrounding neighborhoods, that don't really like the all-time playing of the pickleball courts. They, start at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. They go till 10 o'clock at night. That sound just reverberates throughout the neighborhoods. So we're not sure that those decisions were made really encompassing everybody who are beneficiaries of all of this. So you look at just pickleball players, that's not who you need to look at, and not just even tennis players. You need to look at the surrounding neighborhoods that are impacted by this. And even at the 10-4 meeting, Supervisor Gorell's chief of staff told the park department that he was in favor of removing the Deer Hill courts and supported the idea of increasing pickleball spaces. But I don't think that he adequately had all the information at that time. When you look at over 700 residencies of this area opposed the pickleball courts as soon as we put that petition up. That petition was up, and within literally 12 hours, I had over 500 signatures on it of people opposed to the pickleball courts. So I'm not sure that that decision was fully made with all of the constituents that are affected by that. So what I'm here today asking, and I know my time is almost up, is to really kind of reverse that decision and see if you can influence them to really take a closer look at all the constituents that are affected by it before converting and spending all that money.
Awesome. Thank you, Sue. I appreciate your time. Next, we're going to have Denise Helstein.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm Denise Helfstein. I've lived in the Regency Chambord development for 20 years. I just want to echo what Sue said. Last weekend, I walked my dogs through Deer Hill Park, and I saw our community park in action. There was a celebration of someone's birthday in the pavilion. Both the basketball courts were in use by a bunch of people. There were children swinging on the swings and playing on playground equipment. There were goals set up in the soccer field from a game that just must have ended or was about to start. And there were folks sitting at the picnic tables, and yes, there were people playing pickleball. Our park has been a space for everyone, particularly for the residents who fund it through their taxes. Since the 10-4 Rancho Simi meeting, I've really grown concerned by their decision to prioritize one activity over another, seemingly overlooking residents in favor of those coming from outside Oak Park or Simi Valley for that matter. The shift is catering to a select group and it goes against broad community input, as Sue's letters pointed out. In addition, there's been notable lack of transparency. Oversight of the park's land use, its impacts, public safety, these are crucial for the Oak Park MAC and for the county. Since Rancho started directing large numbers of people to play pickleball at Deer Hill, our kids have been mistreated and our neighborhood has experienced increased congestion, noise, and safety concerns. And I'm just perplexed that the supervisor, the MAC, and MAC representatives would just turn a blind eye or advocate for expanding pickleball without first a thorough assessment of impacts. In preparation for the meeting tonight here, I was looking on the Oak Park MAC website and I saw a letter dated November 3rd, 2021. It was sent by the MAC chair to Brian Dennert, the then chair of Rancho Simi, and the letter advocated for preserving the Canary Island pine tree near Mayboyer Park, and it asked Mr. Dennert to consider a whole host of reasons why they should do so. This letter shows me that the MAC has historically been and can now be active in park decisions that affect our community. Any claim of non-involvement or that you're separate entities or dismissing the interests of the residents you were elected to represent. I believe together we can collaboratively shape a Deer Hill Park that serves and celebrates the diverse interests of our community. We're asking for your help to ensure that the park and its surrounding neighborhood remain a safe and central place of recreation for everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Denise. Appreciate it. The next person is Kim Kavat Moore.
May I approach, or I just
Oh,
have
of course.
I have-
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Okay, we'll share. Thank you, Kim.
So thank you so much for having me here tonight. And I just wanted to point out again regarding the report that Rancho Simi submitted. It was very flawed. And just to discuss that really quickly, there were inflated numbers. They said that they could not, I'll quote, "To note, it is unknown how long each player remained at the park and continued to wait and or play. So some of the players and waiting players could have been counted at least twice if they remained on the court for over an hour and were counted during 2 observations by staff." So
Kim, it's okay. I'll let you talk.
Oh, okay.
You don't have to talk.
Thanks.
I have to make sure I understand what you're saying.
Okay, so I'm just saying
You're
that
okay.
the data that they took was inflated. You can't use inflated data. It's unreliable. Also, they didn't take into account the maturation process and how that affects the times of the courts that are used for pickleball. Also, they did not give a representation of residents and non-residents since they only used pickleball registration for the data. They also did not do any traffic noise pollution studies. And they also discussed at the 10-12 meeting that they didn't have to because of the way the zoning permits were done over 25 years ago, And so with all of the residents that were there, discussing the data, discussing their outcry of the noise pollution, of traffic, Rancho Simi said they didn't have to do it. Well, they can do it. It's a choice. They can contact Ventura County and they can get these studies done. And that's what we're asking for. We're asking for these studies to be conducted in the best interest of the residents that live there. Also, a point was brought up by a gentleman who identified himself as a pickleball player that dismissed resident concerns of the parking that is curbside on Deer Hill moving north. And he showed pictures that there was no parking issue. Well, there is, because then the next day, there's a picture, October 13th, of the parking curbside. And that was at 9:22 in the morning. Then on Saturday, October 21st, at 8:58 in the morning, the same thing, the traffic concern. As you guys may know, that road narrows, So when a car door opens, I mean, I'm very vigilant, so I drive very slow, especially on the weekends when there's so much going on at the park, as well as there should be. That's our park. But it is a concern. It's traffic, it's safety, it's noise. We're residents that live, that's the only way in and out of my house. I drive it constantly. I'm picking up kids, I work, you know, and it's a concern. So I just wanted to note that. Also, and unfortunately I thought Rancho Simi would be here, but Mr. Dan Cooper on the Parks Committee, he asked Mr. Pernick how they handle complaints of the noise pollution at Simi Parks and the residents that are there. And he said Mr. Pernick had disclosed that they don't really get enough complaints to like warrant intervention. Well, he didn't disclose where the parks are located. They're not nestled like Deer Hill Park is in a residential area. For example, Rancho Simi Community Park, that's separated by a parking lot and Erringer Road. Erringer Road is a busy main road in Simi. Okay, so again, different topography there. Rancho Tapo Community Park, again, separated by a parking lot, Duck Pond, Hillsides, and Alamo Street. So the street is separating, again, not the same topography as Deer Hill Park. And the last one, Sinaloa Middle School, again, separated by Royal Avenue, another busy main street. We don't have that. We're not separated by any of that where we live, and we want to preserve where we live, and we want it to be a nice place for everybody to enjoy. I can go on and on and on, so you guys can take a look at that. I appreciate you giving me the time to talk. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kim. The next speaker is Rahul. You can say your name at the microphone. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce it.
Sure.
I would pronounce it wrong. Of course, yeah, thank you. Thank you.
My name is Rahul. I live in the Regency tract, and I am against the conversion. And there are various reasons people have talked about the noise, the traffic. I just want to add some more color to it. And essentially, I'm very surprised at the lack of diligence that was done while taking the decision, because noise with respect to pickleball is a well-known problem. In that packet, what I refer to is the ANSI standard. It actually lays out S 12.9 Part 4 lists pickleball specifically as a highly impulsive noise, and tennis is not. And again, this is very well known. None of this is new. This has been going on for 4 years. Somebody should have done this before actually making a momentous decision for the, especially which affects citizen people around the park. A recent study in Colorado shows that they recommend solid sound abatement, not trees, if there are houses within 340 feet from the pickleball courts. If you go to Google Maps, there are plenty of houses within 150 feet. You can basically figure that out. And so there is a big problem with respect to established precedents. People have pointed this out. Also, ordinary trees were not deemed to be sufficient sound abatement because effective barriers must have greater than 1% penetration area. Again, the specific documents I'm citing, I have given the references to that. There is a Ventura County ordinance, sound ordinance, 4124, that basically says between the times of 9 p.m. and 7 a.m., it is basically not good enough to have more than 30 decibel sound. It's very well known that pickleball courts generate between about 60, sometimes 70 decibels within that 150 feet the limit. So I'm not sure how the Ventura ordinance is actually being considered in this decision. Clearly, the math doesn't work out. The ordinance was adopted on 10th December 1996. I have basically given the reference also. And one thing I do want to point out with respect to sound is that the USA Pickleball Association ambassador, one of the ambassadors at large, Bob Unitich, he mentions in his website, you can go look this up, so what can you do regarding the sound? What can be done to reduce complaints? First of all, courts that are expected to get lots of use should not be located close to homes. This is the USA Pickleball
It's been 2
Ambassador at
minutes,
large.
Raul. It's
Yeah.
been 2 minutes, so
Yeah.
can you wrap it up? I'm just trying to be fair so everybody has a chance
Okay,
to speak.
so the other thing I also want to put is that specific road that we were just talking about is the only access road, and we are a fire danger area. Please consider the fire danger part of it, because otherwise we'll have to probably pay, our insurances go up, our quality of life goes up. My question is, please please get the due diligence done before making a decision like this.
Thank you. Thank you, Raul. The next speaker is John DeShane.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing us to speak tonight. I'd like to cover some of these allegations. In particular, there's been a lot of baseless allegations about the behavior from the pickleball community. Rudeness, bullying, assault, even that the sound of pickleball even causes cancer. So much of this is baseless and it's hearsay. We have our own stories to tell. We've reported some things. There have been a lot of unsavory incidences from the tennis community. Again, it's all just baseless in its hearsay. It's essentially rumor. And as far as traffic and safety goes, on Deer Hill Road, between Canaan and Doubletree, there's a dense population of townhouse complex there. There's parking all along that street. That street is exactly the same width from the fire department all the way up into the Chambord tract. I think they've made a very good decision with this. I left that court here just before I came here. There were probably 20 people waiting to use a court. Any morning of any week, you can go to any park, May Boyer, Indian Springs, you can find empty tennis courts. This is just a proper repurposing of those courts. It's not like we're going to come and take over. There's been a lot of allegations that we're going to come over, take over basketball courts. It's just unfounded, and it's not right. So that's pretty much all I have to say.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. You kept under 2 minutes. I appreciate it. Next person is Chris Ruan. Welcome, Chris.
Thank you. So my name is Chris. Thank you for the MAC board to allow me to speak here for a few words. The main reason I'm here to say a few words is because of the tennis court. I heard about Deer Hill Park tennis court will be permanently converted by the park district to a pickleball court. I don't live in that area, by the way, but I don't agree with that decision that passed by the park district on October 4th. For a few reasons. Some of my Oak Park residents, neighbors, they just presented earlier. But for me particularly, I found there are two reasons that I'm a little concerned. One is the transparency of this decision that they made. I don't feel like it's taking into account of the voices of the neighboring residents and the tennis players in Oak Park, and the Oak Park residents in general. And based on the communications that I've read, that before and after the decision, looks like it's murky, it's hasty. And then they even mentioned about converting basketball court and even other other playground areas into pickleball court. I don't think that's the right way to go. The proper way to go, I think, would be maybe build a new pickleball court somewhere. Okay, find a budget, to do that, instead of, stealing the tennis court and then to pay for pickleball court. So that's number one. And number two is, I found through those pickleball or tennis pickleball meetings by the board, I heard that from Oak Park, our budget is in a deficit, which means that the spending on Oak Park is more than the contribution that we have from Oak Park residents or property taxes. And I found that a little surprising. Given the house prices in this area, we're overspending what we contribute to this. So I hope the MAC board can provide some guidance and supervision to the Park District Board when they make such decisions.
Thank you, Chris.
So that's all I want to say.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. The next speaker is Heidi. Thank you. Welcome,
Hi.
Heidi.
So I don't play pickleball and I don't play tennis. I'm coming here as a resident who lives across the street from Deer Hill Park. And if you think the noise of your pickleball is not real, it's real. It's 7 a.m. till 10 p.m. every night of the week. And it is hell, a true living hell. And I don't know what to do about it. I cannot be if I can't even sit quietly to read a book, that noise drives me nuts. I always have to have background noise on. I have to have the TV going or the radio going, and it's not livable anymore. If I could sell my house and get out of there, I would, truth be told. It's bad, and so I don't know if the pickleball courts are there. Are they really gonna do sound abatement? Are they gonna maybe subsidize to soundproof the houses that are around there? But it's not livable. And especially for those of us who have to get up early in the morning, 4 or 4:30, 10 o'clock noise is really too late. So I'd like to put that out there. Secondly, the other thing, I don't know if anybody's been noticing, but there's been a shift in commercial airline traffic. I don't know if any of you guys have noticed that. And that plus the pickleball, I just don't even know what to do about it anymore. And I did report, it's serious. It's serious. I walk in Oak Canyon Park every morning, and you go up there, walking up, and to the left, all the jets are just flying right over there. Huge jets from Asia, Japan, Tokyo, Shanghai, Taipei, Hong Kong. They're all coming in, as well as commuters. And the other morning, 6:53 a.m. Anchorage, 6:54 from Doha, 6:57 from Sacramento, 6:59 from San Francisco, 7:03 from Reno, 7:04 from San Francisco. They just line up. And depending on the day, they're closer to us or further away from us, but it's bad. The other night, woken up at 1:43 in the morning from a Hong Kong flight flying over. It's bad. So I don't know if the community, if we can band together, because again, the pickleball and the air traffic is not gonna make resale value on our houses very good, and nobody's gonna wanna live here. It's bad. So it's not to be hysterical about it, but as I just am frazzled. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Heidi. Next speaker is Carolyn.
Hi, thank you. I'm here on a completely different topic, not pickleball. I'm here on landscaping. There used to be a landscape committee. I don't know what's happened in that regard, but okay, I know that Enhanced Landscapes takes care of our landscaping, and I'm specifically talking about the median along Canaan Road, north and south, especially south of Smoke Tree, the twisted junipers that are there. I passed by there for the past 45 years, so that I've watched them grow. Okay, number one, why has the juniper at the northern end of this median been removed completely? Number two, why has the juniper in the middle of the median been cut in half? Okay, I realize Enhanced Landscape handles the maintenance, But who is making these decisions? That's what I want to know, okay? There is also an enormous rock that's been moved away from around the junipers that's out to the edge of the median. I would like to know what's going to happen with that, okay? Mainly, I want to understand who is supervising these decisions. Are they making a decision to cut the juniper in half without any of us, any input? Why? I want to understand, please. And I'm opposed to any further damage to these beautiful, magnificent 50-plus-year-old trees. And I'd like to find out what's going on. If we have a landscape committee of some way to interact with Enhanced Landscape about these, the removal and the decision to cut one of them in half.
Okay, we'll follow up. Thank you, Carolyn.
Yes, I'd like to be involved if possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Wendy. Thank you. You can give me the card. Thank you. You'll be at the very end because it's in order of how they came in. Thank you so much. Wendy, welcome.
Hi, thank you. Put it off, sorry. I'm a little taller. Thanks for listening. I want to say a couple of things. One, it's disheartening to hear that the MAC can't do much about it when, as has already been said, Mr. Perryman showed up to the October 4th meeting and spoke on behalf of Supervisor Gorel in favor of converting the courts. So that's one thing that's been frustrating to all of us. I'd also like to say, as far as this study, the flawed study, in August, I emailed Rancho Simi about the tennis courts and asking how that worked because there were designated pickleball times but no designated tennis times. I was actually discouraged by Rancho Simi from attempting to play tennis at the Deer Hill Parks in their response in my email. And that was in August before they did their study. They said the pickleballers are always there. I would recommend if you try to play there, it's only between 12 and 5 on weekdays, or go play somewhere else. 12 to 5 is not when most of us want to play tennis. Even the pickleballers aren't there from 12 to 5. I live up the street, up Deerbrook, about almost at the top of the hill, which is a substantial distance from the park. If we're in our primary bedroom and have the back doors open, we, on many nights, can hear the pickleball coming up the street. We are very far from the park. The noise is a real thing. I would equate it to when someone's popping bubble wrap. It's really satisfying if you're doing it yourself. It is crazy annoying to anyone else, and that's the sound of pickleball to me, even if I'm at the park trying to play with my child. There's also a thing called perceived loudness. Our community is very quiet. Last night between 8 and 9 p.m., I can tell you, up Deerbrook, only one vehicle went up my street. It was an electric vehicle. In 1 hour, one vehicle. We have a very quiet neighborhood. It's estimated probably around 40 decibels, the ambient noise from the research I've done, 40 to 50 decibels. A 10 decibel increase is perceived as twice as loud. That's substantial, especially when pickleball is a good 20 to 30 decibels above. I have a lot more. I will write it to you, but it is true that they make it unfriendly. I went with 3 8-year-olds, and we were told we couldn't play. They had already been playing 2 hours, the pickleballers. They would not relinquish the courts to us. They said no. Communications that we've seen now, before and after, between the Oak Park Pickleball Ambassador and Rancho Simi are disturbing. Those decisions were being made through other communications outside of meetings, and we were under the impression that they were discussing what color to paint the lines. It's very disheartening. Hopefully you can help us. The noise is a real issue, the traffic, all of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. The next speaker is Pam.
Hi, good evening. 4 years ago, we are here fighting for saving our tennis court. Now we are here again doing the same thing. Besides all the other apparent issues, other residents said for the noise, traffic, and safety issue, I want to just focus on some other points. For example, the whole process has been lack of effective communications. For instance, our park planning committee They have never just been notified as an intention for this conversion, but never been presented with a detailed agenda or like even it's just a surprise for them for this October 4th voting. And we are aware for you, the MAC members, this topic has never been showing up in your agenda either. And needless to say, the Rancho Simi board seeking your input or your approval for this conversion. And for us, our Oak Park residents, and we are totally just blinded and being ignored by this whole process. And so in this digital world, although those Rancho Simi boards, they have our email address, but they decline to do so. They just hold it off until end of September to notify us, just giving us very short notice. And in the same time, while we are being hidden for the whole process, the pickleball players, in particular the ambassador Hoffman, has been working closely with Rancho Simi board starting from March this year. So for the whole 7 months or 8 months from the public records, it clearly shows Hoffman has been keep pushing influence the Rancho Simi board members, in particular Zach Miller. And it is really disheartening to see there are all these emails, texts. It's just showing its pure lack of impartiality and favoritism towards pickleball players, in particular Hoffman, who is also a pickleball instructor for Rancho Simi board. And also,
your time is up.
Yeah,
can
just
you wrap it up?
Yes.
Thank you.
So, at this moment, we just hope, MAC, which you are representing us, please file a letter to Rancho Simi board to just urge them to rescind the vote, and also, just truly representing us. And another side topic. In the MAC relevant website, it only shows all your name, but no any other contact information. No emails, no phone calls, phone numbers, so please revise this. One last sentence. This is really for for pickleball players or for whoever in favor of this conversion, including Brian. We know you are in favor of this decision. So we are not against pickleball player. Actually, a lot of us, we do play pickleball, including my family. But what we are saying really, pickleball courts should not be built next to homes. So if this vote right now is trying to build the pickleball courts, pickleball center next to your home and giving you exposed to 15 hours noise, are you going to
Pam, your
vote
time
for
is
it?
up. Thank you so
Okay,
much for
thank
your
you.
time. Thank you. The next speaker is Deet. Do we have Deet Ezra? Oh, she's not here. Okay. I'll just put absent. Okay, the next speaker is Stephen Hoffman. No, there's 3 more.
Good evening. Before I start my prepared remarks, I would just like to comment on the last speaker who called me out as an employee of Rancho Simi. I have never taught a lesson for Rancho Simi. I've never made a penny from Rancho Simi. I volunteered to teach a young kids class that did not fill, so the class never filled. So the allegations that
Okay, we're
Okay,
going to
I'm just saying I am
let
not.
Stephen
Okay, all right.
speak now.
Okay.
Pam? Okay, thank you.
And also the derogatory remarks as I come and go from the microphone. I am just another citizen of Oak Park like you guys are, and I'm just a pickleball player. So let me start my remarks. Good evening. Tonight you've heard very, very passionate pleas from the tennis community to keep tennis at Deer Hill Park. On October 4th, their focus was on the need for tennis courts for tennis players. The Oak Park tennis coach and players spoke about the need. After the Rancho Simi report came out, the study showed that we had plenty of tennis courts, and their passionate pleas changed to safety, traffic, and noise. You have heard or will hear about a petition that has over 700 signatures from people who who do not want pickleball at Deer Hill, or simply agree with the long litany of issues named in the petition, like don't let them come take your park, don't let them take your kids' equipment, don't let them take your basketball courts, etc. If you are not a passionate pickleball player, you would sign this petition. The truth is that there's no safety issue. I spoke with Gilbert Ramirez, who is the chief engineer and drives all large equipment at Fire Station 46 at the base of Deer Hill Road. He informed me that as long as all cars are parked legally along the curb, not marked red, there is a 100% chance of navigating the largest piece of emergency equipment up the hills. As for traffic, I did a study on Monday, October 16th, our busiest weekday. From 6:50 to 8 o'clock, 12 cars arrived in an hour. From 8 to 9, 14 cars arrived in an hour. And from 9 to 10, 7 cars arrived and 9 cars departed. Hardly an issue as cars came and went at about a 5-minute interval. Pickleball has a staggered start time, so cars arrive and leave at indiscriminate times. It is very rare you will see 2 cars on the driveway simultaneously. As for the noise, I agree that the pickleball pop is a pop. That is why we encourage sound dampening technology and the USPA's introduction of quiet pickleball early next year. By making the switch to dedicated pickleball courts, we will in fact lower the sound by more than 58%.
Stephen, your time is up. Can you wrap it up, please?
Sure. Also, according to the Princeton Review on Home Values, for the first time in the last 20 years, dedicated pickleball courts in your community raises the value of your property by more than having a golf course. Estimates are from 0.5% to 2.5% of your home value. 83% of master plan communities developed in 2023 included some form of pickleball amenities. It's time Oak Park added dedicated pickleball to the long list of things like blue ribbon schools that make it such an outstanding community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stephen. Appreciate your time. We have Carolyn again. Do you want to speak on the evacuation routes, Carolyn? You have another card. Oh, you're 10B? Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Ning Rosenthal? Welcome. Thank you.
Good evening, board members and everybody. So first, I want to thank for your service to our city. I'm here to urge our board members to show your support to our Oak Park residents to request Rancho Simi Park District to revert their decision made on October 4th to convert the Deer Hill Park tennis court to 6 pickleball courts. So I don't live in that area, and I don't play tennis in that court either. But as a medical epidemiologist, I'm really concerned about the negative health impact of the conversion on the local residents. You have heard the cry from Heidi, and I can feel I cannot even stand the once a week, gardener from my neighbors. I cannot imagine being exposed to 10 hours of noise at 70 decibels every day. So if you want to hear how loud the noise is, I have an example. This video was taken in the backyard of Mrs. Tracy Collins, who lived across the street, the Deer Hill Street from the tennis court. And this is at 9:20 at a Tuesday evening. Like, she literally cannot open her backyard back door like all day, because in the afternoon they don't play because it's too hot, but the whole morning and evening, and now there's only 4 courts. Just imagine if it expanded to 6 courts and have tournaments and everything. I just cannot imagine that. And we all know that long-term exposure to loud noises can not only cause deaf hearing problems, but also chronic stress and which will lead to many more serious health problems, heart disease, cancer, and there are a lot of scientific evidence on that. So I really hope MAC members can really support the local residents. This Rancho Simi decision was not evidence-based, and
Your
it
time's
was
up.
really
Can
like
you wrap it
input.
up?
Yeah, really like input from Oak Park residents. So we need them to reconsider that and do a full evaluation. I hope everybody can enjoy our city and can play. Pickleball court. We should have pickleball courts for pickleball players, but just not in a highly dense, populated area.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. We've got our last speaker on this is Ming Fei.
Check 1, 2.
Thank you.
Welcome, Ming.
My name is Ming. So I would just want to add several comments. Actually, I play both tennis and pickleball, and so I don't think that try to comment. Both are very good sports anyway. So, but I really strongly opposed to conversion the tennis court to pickleball. Pickleball. I think first, I'm not going to repeat all the comments about noise, traffic, safety, all the stuff. So because I have spoke several times, include the Oak Park planning meeting and RSRPD, and today again I'm not going to repeat that. So first I want to comment back. The gentleman said the traffic is not concerned because the neighbor between the Double Tree Street to Cannon Street also a lot of car parking aside. So, but I want to tell you, the road from the road is only entrance exit for the more than 300 families in the Rickson Hill and Chambord, where I live. But there are multiple entrances for the neighborhood you mentioned about because there are like 3, 4, 5 extra entrances. So that's not concerned, but it's really, really concerned for the 300 more families over there. So I think that I really want to. I moved here like 8 years ago. So I remember was really loved the neighbor because it was very peaceful, family friendly. I remember when I kids, I always took them, bring the basketball, tennis, other frisbee to we walk down here and see whenever it's available we play tennis, basketball. And my kids grow up right now, so they don't play tennis. So but right now I don't see that can happen, especially for the young family because probably a month ago when I played pickleball, so there's a young mom and brought 2 young kids. They want to play tennis. So other pickleball player, no one want to share with her, but I told her, okay, I can share my course with you, but I cannot promise you can get other side, but you can try and play. So, and so I let it play, but I also told them, unfortunately, you cannot get the courts play because that's the way it is, because once the people start pickleball, it's almost impossible to get the tennis court. So,
can you wrap up, Ming?
Yeah. What I'm saying is that even my kids that don't play tennis, I really want to, think about it when my kids would benefit for this kind of access to the courts. So I really want, in the future, all the young family, the young kids, they can have same way my kids enjoy it. So I think maybe, a lot of people play that maybe when the kids were young, they also enjoyed the kind of the very nice park, access to all the activities. I really want to, we keep that way. That's the value for the neighbor. That's the value for the park. That's the reason I think you guys probably, be the board that work for us, for the neighbor.
Thank you.
Yep.
Appreciate your coming here. That's it for our public comments. Thank you, everybody, for talking to us and about your concerns. I appreciate it. We're going to move on to item number 9, comments by Ventura County Supervisor Jeff Grell's Chief of Staff, Mark Perryman. Welcome, Mark.
Chair Nye, members of the board, public, thank you so much for coming this evening. On behalf of Supervisor Jeff Grell, we're so glad that you came and to express your interest in so many important issues. I think the first thing, Supervisor Grell's watching from home, he wanted to express directly to everyone here very specifically that he hears you. That's the most important part of this, is that he absolutely hears and understands where the community is now. Some of the members of the public had mentioned earlier today quite a bit of concern about different things, and I just want to help illustrate a little bit of how Supervisor Grell came to the decision to make an opinion on this on behalf of the community. Mostly it started with, back in January, we had started to receive some public comment right here at this Municipal Advisory Council meeting, in addition to public comment that was occurring at the Rancho Simi Recreation and Park District Oak Park specific meeting. We've been listening and hearing quite a bit of feedback, and this feedback was all about pickleball community members specifically looking to see improvement of pickleball facilities very specifically. That was all of the feedback that we received between January and the date of the Rancho Simi Recreation Park District meeting. In fact, Board Member Trzynski had indicated to our office that, hey, Rancho Simi Recreation Park District has actually agendized this item. And the item that they agendized very specifically, I just wanted to, I pulled up a screenshot of it because we looked at it together. It says, let's see here. Review and provide direction regarding tennis and pickleball court usage in Oak Park, including consideration of conversion of tennis courts to dedicated pickleball courts. So the moment that that came out, we had actually, and thank you, Board Member Trzynski, for kind of flagging it for our office. We said, well, let's ask Rancho Simi Recreation Park District to post the agenda at the tennis courts. We wanted to make sure that everyone in the community was aware of kind of the decision making and the thoughts that were going, because we hadn't heard from anyone kind of pro tennis, if you will, today, stating that those tennis courts were of concern for the tennis community. So I just wanted to highlight that we hear you today. We hear you since the Rancho Simi Recreation Park District meeting. We understand the concerns of the community, and we're evaluating what are the next steps and what are the things to do. Recently, we had an opportunity to speak to some Oak Park Unified School District board members who also expressed some concern about this exact thing. And we actually offered up to them, let's actually pull together a member of the tennis community and a member of the pickleball community, and let's see what we can do on behalf of the community to find what is the happy medium. As we understand it, somebody had mentioned Rancho Simi Recreation and Park District has some budget challenges. But just to highlight real quick, because a lot of folks may not know this, Rancho Simi Recreation and Park District is a separate governmental agency than the County of Ventura. We have zero jurisdiction over Rancho Simi Recreation and Park District's authority. If you don't believe me, I'm happy to provide you some government code from the state of California that states it. Now, notwithstanding that, that doesn't mean that we don't have specific authorities. Actually, I've chatted with some of the board members here. The very formation of the Oak Park Municipal Advisory Council back in the 70s, the resolution that exists that establishes this exact board speaks very specifically to planning issues and the safety of the community. And to that extent, this community here, this Municipal Advisory Council, when there are items that come in front of the planning director at the County of Ventura for items that are going on in this community, This Municipal Advisory Council here opines on that and provides an advisory perspective back to the supervisor, and so that the supervisor can actually advocate on behalf of the community. So I just wanted to provide that feedback for folks, that we hear you. We absolutely want to work together to see for both sides of the community, if you will, if there are both sides of the community, that we want to find a happy medium that works for everyone. Though we are very concerned about where Rancho Simi Recreation and Park District's budget is, and we know that some of that was a part of their decision making. So I just wanted to highlight that. If there is a member of the tennis community that would like to come together with a member of the pickleball community, we'd love to get your information after this meeting, and we can try to look at a solution and try to work with Rancho Simi Recreation Park District on perhaps an alternative solution if one works. So I just wanted to highlight that information. There's actually a lot. That sounds great. For those folks at home, a member of the community had indicated that it sounds like there's some kind of ad hoc community or effort that's working to do that. And we'll embrace that, and we'll help where we can as well. But just wanted to highlight that. In addition to that, I want you all to know that I'm actually an Oak Park resident as well. I actually live right off of Deer Hill. I actually drive by the tennis courts that are dual striped as pickleball as well. My kids go to that park frequently as well, so I'm aware of all of these issues on a day-to-day basis that folks are talking about. So just wanted to extend that. There's a lot of other comments I need to get to, so if you have feedback for me, I would love to chat with you after this meeting. Very importantly, I need to switch subjects to something else. I'm sorry, I'm going to finish my comments if that's okay with you. There's an opportunity for public comment at the beginning of the meeting. I'm also more than happy to speak to members of the community after this if you're interested, and we can continue a dialogue. But just for sake of time for folks, there's a lot to cover, and the MAC has other official business to get to other than public comment. So
can we move on, please?
So with the war against Hamas that's underway, and this is very important for the safety of the community, Supervisor Gurel and local law enforcement are carefully monitoring the community to ensure peace exists. This is a major issue that our law enforcement team, both California Highway Patrol and our Sheriff's Department, are closely monitoring. So much so that Governor Newsom recently has authorized funding, and Supervisor Gurel has worked in advance of receiving funding to ensure stepped-up patrols and vehicles available for our synagogues and Conejo Valley Islamic Center. So I just wanted to let the community know about that, because this is something that we're closely monitoring. In addition to that, we've started conversations to look into what would it take to actually have some level of a dedicated Sheriff's Department presence in this community. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but in Oak Park, as well as our other unincorporated areas, the Sheriff's Department team actually patrols all of those together, and so they may get pulled off in different directions. Now, in neighboring Thousand Oaks, they have quite a bit of a Ventura County Sheriff's Department presence. So if there is ever an issue that's in this community and the car that patrols the unincorporated areas is perhaps not here, know that you are still safe, and our Sheriff's Department personnel will absolutely come from neighboring city of Thousand Oaks, and they're here very promptly. And that's what looking into things such as like a student resource officer, perhaps that could work for Oak Park Unified School District. In addition to that, that individual could possibly help and patrol other areas in the community if there's some kind of issue that's going on. I know this has been something that's been looked at several years ago, but there's a new energy and a new spirit and a new focus in the county across the Board of Supervisors, where public safety is actually prioritized and blocked. Not to say that that wasn't done previously, but this new energy and this new focus and the will is now there, and it sounds like there's some cooperation amongst others who might be interested as well. So just wanted to share that. Earlier, there was a member of the public that had a concern about commercial airline traffic. Thank you for bringing that up. There's a couple things that are very important to mention here, and I'm not trying to be dismissive in any way, so please don't take it as such. We as a community, seriously, as a resident as well, as a community need to come together and voice those concerns through the best method possible. And that best method is actually reporting those concerns to the Federal Aviation Administration. The FAA, we have a Department of Airports director that works on the Camarillo Airport and our other airport, and they've, in chatting with them, they have said that is completely outside of County of Ventura's jurisdiction, and it is in the Federal Aviation Administration's jurisdiction. There's currently a sound study for airport noise that's going on, that's being led by our Department of Airports close to the Camarillo Airport. However, I think that might be separate than the sound study that likely should occur in this community as well. And so we're happy to include as part of the minutes for this, as well as post on our website, a link to where you can actually direct that feedback. And if we continue to receive feedback, demonstrably a concern, Supervisor Garreau would be happy to write a letter to the Federal Aviation Administration to take a look at what it would take to make a change there. Landscaping. There's been a number of landscaping concerns that have been brought up. I want to thank the community for talking about those. Sorry, I should have brought water. Oh my goodness. Yes, we do indeed have a landscaping community. You are the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
We absolutely do have a landscaping committee that still exists. That landscaping community, I believe Brian Trzynski, you sit on that committee. In addition to that, Dale Thomas, who is our dedicated Oak Park field representative in Supervisor Garrell's office. She is also part of that community, and there's a regular quarterly walk that goes on where we go through the community along with the vendor Enhanced Landscaping to look at in or any other kind of request or concern that pops up in the community. We don't wait for those quarterly landscape reviews. That same committee of folks will go out. In fact, I believe they went out earlier this week off schedule to actually go take a look at it. In terms of the junipers versus the rock, I'm not sure specifically why Enhanced Landscaping changed it or looked at it, but we're going to write that down and take a look at it and see what happened there. But we do want to let the public know of something that's very important. Anytime you see any kind of landscaping related issue, road issue, traffic sign issue, anything that seems like a public work style issue, a box culvert or drain that's blocked up, the best way and the fastest way for you to receive a turnaround in service on that request is not through email, it's not through a large package of pictures and notes and all that, even though it's helpful, right? The fastest way to actually get things done is actually through the Ventura County Public Works app, VCPWA Connect. Now, that VCPWA Connect app, we've talked about it at the last MAC meeting. I think we're going to do a presentation on that at a future MAC meeting. We also want you to know that we also have heard from the community that that app's a little bit difficult to use. So apologies about that. This isn't a new app that we've invented or we've brought about, or it's, this is more, we're trying to make sure that when you report something, it's actioned upon as quickly as possible, and we eliminate all of the middle people that are a part of that process. So happy to chat about that more, happy to get more details about the other locations and the other challenges, but help us out if you haven't opened up a ticket through that Ventura County Public Works app, please do so. You'll get an email response from them the moment that there is an update on whatever the item is, or if they have a question on any specific item. Hang on one second. The Los Angeles Superior Court recently made a decision on zero bail for what they determined to be non-violent offenses. This zero bail initiative that the Los Angeles Superior Court has put in place is of kind of great concern comparative to the data that we have from Yolo County as well as Orange County that shows that during the period of the pandemic, there were 3 times and even 4 times peak crime from individuals that were released on zero bail within a certain period of time. Ventura County Supervisor Jeff Gorell is greatly concerned about this, and you may have read his op-ed recently in the Ventura County Star. If you have not seen that, know that we are monitoring that closely. That decision by the Los Angeles Superior Court was based upon a decision from the state of California, based upon a court case that existed there. There are over 30 cities now that have joined in a lawsuit against the Los Angeles Superior Court. These are 30 Los Angeles County cities that have joined that lawsuit. Challenging the Los Angeles Superior Court. We're closely monitoring it. There's a case conference on this in Orange County Superior Court November 17th. However, it likely will not be heard until next year. Notwithstanding that, I want you to know that in Ventura County, we do not have zero bail right now. But it's likely, and you heard it earlier from our Sheriff's Department, that we may see individuals coming into Ventura County and committing crimes. Further to that effect, at the last Board of Supervisors meeting, Supervisor Gorell authorized, along with his other supervisors, a grant of over $2 million for the district attorney and his staff to assist law enforcement in retail theft prosecution. So earlier, you've heard from Sheriff on how our local pharmacy here has continuously had retail theft. And this is a kind of a revolving door, and it's been an issue in this community as well as in the Conejo Valley and other parts of Ventura County for some time. So just wanted to provide you an update as we're working through that. I have there's quite a bit more to chat about, but tomorrow we're having a press conference, and you may see some information about this come out either on on CBS, ABC7 or perhaps KCLU. There's a Queensland fruit fly. Has anyone heard of the Queensland fruit fly? So this is one of the most interesting parts of County of Ventura government. We have an agricultural commissioner, and we're responsible for all the crops that are throughout Orange County. What am I saying? Oh my gosh. Ventura County. It's close to a $3 billion industry, and we provide so many fruits and vegetables for folks throughout the world. This Queensland fruit fly decimated the agricultural industry in Australia. In the 80s and the 90s, it was found in just a couple singular instances in California. It's now been found twice over a small period of time in the middle of Thousand Oaks. What does this mean? The United States Department of Agriculture, the California Department of Food and Agriculture, and the County of Ventura's agricultural commissioner have all issued a quarantine in a 4.5-mile radius, 72 square miles from the point where they found that Queensland fruit fly in Thousand Oaks, and it goes all the way through Oak Park actually to Agora. Within 500 meters of the site where they found this Queensland fruit fly, the United States Department of Agriculture will be coming in and actually checking to see if there's on-site fruits or vegetables that may have an infestation or larva of this type of fruit fly. If they do find it, they will take that fruit and try to quarantine it and take it. The state of California also is requiring a spraying of something called spinosad. Spinosad is an organic compound. It's not a synthetic compound that was a major issued previously. It is a pesticide, an organic pesticide, and they plan to spray certain trees and other ornamental trees that may attract this specific pest. This is of great concern to your county's agriculture. And I know you may not see agriculture here in Oak Park or Thousand Oaks, and you may not even think that 4.5-mile radius might be of concern. but that 4.5-mile radius actually does touch into agricultural land in the northern part of Supervisor Gorell's district, and many folks that have fruits and vegetables in their backyard may choose to bring those fruits and vegetables extra to neighbors in other areas, and if those fruits and vegetables have this pest or larva in it, it could help transmit that. So we're very concerned, and we're working to address that. Apologies for being long-winded. I'm happy to chat with folks additionally. Thanks so much, Chair Nye and the board.
Thank you. We're going to move on to item number 10, which is written comments. I have 3 written comments that I've received, one from Brian Matson about landscape issues on Canaan from Los Arcos to Golden Eagle, and I believe that's being taken care of. I have 2 other written comments from Stephen Cozell. One of them is requesting a list of detailed crimes committed in the last 5 years in Oak Park, and he was referred to the Ventura County Sheriff's website. Stephen, I know you have a card to talk. Do you want to talk about this one? And come on up. Stephen has 2 written comments, one on the crime and a second one on the evacuation plan, and we've got Carolyn also.
So the first comment regarding the detailed crime report, we need to have more granularity in our crime reports here than we get now. Right now, we're lumped into a general, more or less what would be the term I'm looking for? I guess we're in the unincorporated areas. And the problem with that is when you look at national data and you try to look at crime, what you see is you split the crime areas up into unincorporated or rural areas, urban areas, and suburban areas. You can't compare them. It's like comparing apples to oranges. So there must be a way for us to get a better report. All we're asking is, can they run their reports by zip code or something like that so we can see what's going on? To put us in the same category as Lockwood Valley or something doesn't make a lot of sense from a data standpoint. That's all I'm going to say there. The second one about the fire evacuation plans, something that wasn't mentioned in the written comments here was we now have a grant with the Office of Emergency Operations, which is going to look into this very issue in Oak Park and other unincorporated areas of Ventura County. It's a complex issue. I just wanted to add, I think it's very important that we also work with our surrounding communities, specifically neighboring communities and municipalities, not only in Ventura County, but in LA County, to come to an agreement on what we're going to do when the event occurs. How are we going to control traffic? How are we going to move people out? Because last time it didn't work so well. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Stephen.
Okay,
I'm glad you brought those items up. Yeah, and we have another speaker on the evacuation.
So just to comment on that, regarding the fire evacuation, Stephen, the Oak Park Fire Safe Council is aware of such a monetary activity that has been given to the OES, and that's going to be the next project of the Oak Park Fire Safe Council.
Awesome. Thank you, JL. Carolyn, do you want to speak about the evacuation issue? So again, we're timing the comments to 2 minutes.
Okay, I spoke at the Fire Safe Council meeting, and I was interrupted about evacuation routes. And I am spent many, many months after our fire, Woolsey Fire, determining about how unsafe we are here in Oak Park. We are in the worst 1% of the state of California when it comes to evacuation because of the shape of our community, the surrounding hills.
Just a minute. Can we not interrupt Carolyn, please? waited this long to speak.
Right.
Go ahead, Carolyn.
So I have done considerable study about it, including contacting a person at Cal State, Berkeley, and spoke with her, reports, whatever. I've turned in these reports. I've spoken at the city of Agoura Hills numerous times about asking them to resist the development along Canaan Road. We are dependent, those of us especially that live in the eastern side of Oak Park, on using Canaan Road as an evacuation, and that literally goes through the city of Agoura Hills. And whether that is we can work together, as Stephen suggested, with our community to recognize the fact that we all need to evacuate. The people in Fountainwood and Morrison Ranch are also using Canaan Road. It is a huge issue. It's not only keeping our homes safe, but it's also escaping from the fire. And if the fire is coming from the north, which it does, we cannot take Canaan Road and go towards Westlake Boulevard. We need to go down Canaan Road to the south. So I have a ton of information. I may have even turned in the information to you before, and I apologize, I don't remember, with regards to how unsafe we are here when it comes to evacuation. And the city of Agoura Hills is planning development at the shopping centers at Canaan and Thousand Oaks Boulevard to increase by 585 housing units there, which the traffic alone will impact us in case of an emergency, and we are deeply concerned about this. So working with our neighbors is imperative for us to be able to evacuate safely.
Thank you, Carolyn. I appreciate your comments. We're going to move on to item 11, which is council comments. Florence?
Chair, before you jump to that item, you mind if I respond to the concern from the community on the evacuation route?
Go ahead.
Thank you so much. And thank you for bringing this up. Actually, I think this was also brought up at a Fire Safe Council meeting that was recently had. Immediately after that meeting, Supervisor Gorell reached out to our fire chief, and this was the response that we received. And just in short, before I get into it, I want you to know we're still looking into it, and that's what he is saying as well. So we've looked at creating a community-level evacuation map in the past, but never moved forward because our communities have so many potential travel routes for fire and vehicles. It becomes too complex for a single predetermined route. Some communities lend themselves well to this kind of pre-planning. Fire either comes from below and they leave from above, or it comes from above and they leave from below. How our communities are laid out across the landscape and our fires run with topography uphill and with a strong diurnal west wind or push sideways against topography with a Santa Ana creates a several fire front situation for almost every community. Couple that with several ways in and out for each community, confusing most homeowners. So we're going to evaluate with County OES and our ops team, in addition to Los Angeles County Fire, to see what the latest thoughts are and what they're looking at together. Over the years, they've explored several applications that coupled fire GIS with potential fire spread and overlaid maps to safe evacuation routes. One of the biggest hurdles was map directions from one of the primary providers, Google or Waze, depending upon who's trying to use that at that point in time. So long story short, the update as of actually, we received an update early this week. They're still checking into it with OES to make sure that they're getting the most comprehensive recommendation along with working with fire.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you. We're on to item number 11, council comments. Florence?
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me. I'd just like to mention 4 things that have been going on at Oak Park High School in the past month. So first of all, on October 24th, we hosted our first blood drive of the year. We don't quite have data on that yet, but it was pretty successful, and thank you to everyone and their children that participated. Last Friday, we also had our breast cancer awareness football game, and 8% of the proceeds will be going towards supporting breast cancer research. Not sure exactly how much, but I know we raised around $400, so a chunk of that will be going towards breast cancer awareness. We are also planning on having a food drive on November 3rd to support the Mana Food Bank, and we have been preparing for that. And finally, we have begun our Seas Candies fundraiser, which is going to be one of our biggest fundraisers of the year. We'll be selling holiday gifts, which are like the perfect stocking stuffers, and also just like chocolate. So if any of you guys are interested, please consider supporting an Oak Park High School ASB member by purchasing Seas Candies from them. Thank you.
Thank you, Florence. JL?
So as far as the Oak Park Fire Safe Council is concerned, I'd like to report that we have about 43 home wildfire assessments that has been completed. And then the fire chief mentioned earlier the Firewise project. We have about 3 communities right now that are in the process of becoming a Firewise community. And being a Firewise community, there are a lot of benefits. One of them is lower insurance for the community members who are part of that Firewise community designated area. So if you're part of an HOA, for example, we don't have any contact yet with the people in Regency and Chambord. If you guys want to coordinate with the Oak Park Fire Safe Council, the Oak Park Fire Safe Council helps you through the process. So we have all the forms and we have all the backgrounder, so that we'll facilitate with you to become a Firewise community.
Thank
That's
you, JL. Appreciate it. Brian?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Got a cold, so I'm going to keep my voice as much as I can. Rancho Simi Planning Committee, we met on October 12th, and the tennis community did come out and very passionately with good presentations. Their position was to rescind or the decision of the Rancho Simi Board of Directors. Many comments were we're not being heard, we're not able to participate, our voices are not here. I felt very strongly at that point in time that a decision, some direction should be made to give the community a voice. And so I had suggested, and the planning committee supported it, it went 4-1, to set up an ad hoc committee of stakeholder representatives from the tennis community, pickleball, the neighborhood, the planning committee, and a Rancho Simi resident, or a Rancho Simi staff person. And they would work together to find solution, if there is a solution. And if there is one, that's great. But that was the whole point of that, is this is another opportunity to work together as a community the way Oak Park is, and sit across the table from each other and actually work together and find some solutions. So I'm still,
what's your recommendation that wait,
No.
it's not an open discussion here.
No.
Please stop. We don't have any discussion at this point. I have a question for you. It was part of that recommendation that no construction go forward until the committee meets?
part of that was in my motion that the board of directors do not rescind, but do not take any action. Do not move forward on this project. Just hold on it.
And did that go forward?
That went from the planning committee. Now it's going back to the Rancho Simi board of directors in November.
I see.
And they're going to consider the planning committee's decision, and if they want to do it or not. They may not want to do it, but they might want to do it. So that's one.
Please stop talking so that Brian has a
The next thing that we
doesn't
did
wanna yell.
on the 12th of October was we had a presentation on another big issue with Rancho Simi on by-districting or by-division. We currently in Rancho Simi service area, around 280,000 people, we elect our Rancho Simi board directors at large, meaning we can vote for 5 different positions. Currently, all 5 positions are in Simi. They're not in Oak Park. So this is going to happen. This isn't it might. This is going to happen. And the decision's going to be made on December 6th. It's a process that's going on. There's a couple of public hearings so far. And the whole idea is that, I won't get into too much other than there has to be districts that represent the community at large. We in Oak Park don't have enough population of 28,000, so we're going to have to look toward another community to link in with us, whether that's Wood Ranch or another.
So are the maps available? Have they already decided where we're going to
No,
connect?
this is, if you go online and you go to Rancho Simi's website, you'll see by division, and there is a tool. It's a mapping tool, and you create your own tool, and you can create them. Coming up in another, I think November the 1st and November 15th, these maps will be discussed, but we want the public to create their maps and present them as well. But ultimately, at the bottom line will be, as of elections next November of 2024, Oak Park will be electing their own representative. But it may also end up, we may have to share with another community on the other side of the Simi Hills in order for us to be a district. So that's a big process. I'm going to go into it. The Planning Committee also recommended that Rancho Simi Board of Directors approve an expenditure of $30,000. There are for trees that are in pretty tough shape along Lindero Canyon Creek. One tree fell in the backyard of somebody on Rhapsody and caused some minor damage. But the study is going to be looking at 90 to 100 trees and look at their stability, their health, and structural stability, because the residents are concerned that some of these might come down as well. So we approved this, a detailed study be done. I'm happy to report that our council's 5-year capital improvement plan recommendation for environmental interpretive signage over at the Oak Canyon Community Park Lagoon is going forward.
Excellent. You had recommended that.
The pond provides water quality through the fountains. It's connected to the Malibu watershed. There is direct connectivity to its health. We don't want people dropping unwanted household pets into the ponds. We are looking at invasive species, making sure that they're addressed. And Dan Cooper, who is the chair of the Planning Committee, who's an expert in this area, will be working with a small committee at writing the text for these signs. So that's good. And Rancho Simi successfully got from Mountains Recreation and Conservation Authority a $1 million grant for fire abatement along Medea Creek and Lindero Canyon. And so this will start very soon. In fact, right now, starting yesterday up until November 17th, the first phase will be looking at the removal of palm trees along Medea Creek. And they got a permit from Fish and Wildlife for that. So that's happening.
So how much was that?
$1 million.
$1 million has been awarded to Rancho.
Yes. And then finally, Dale and I did meet with a resident yesterday on concerns that he has with regard to what he considers poor quality landscape service along Canaan Road by our enhanced landscape. So we're definitely going to be looking into this in much more detail, but it's going to be kind of a forensic look at everything from as we go through it. They've done a lot of great work. It's looking a lot better, but there's still areas that still need some work onto it, and so that is my report.
All right. Thank you.
Oh, one more thing. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Going to be celebrating with Rancho Simi Veterans Day ceremony. It's going to be happening on the 11th. And at
11th of November.
November 11th.
Of 11th, yeah, November 11th at Rancho Tapo Community Park at Veterans Plaza. So if you're interested, please
Thank
join.
you. Thank you. So for my report, I attended the Oak Park Unified School District Board meeting on October 12th, and Brendan Callahan confirmed that the weeds near Oak Park High School and Medea Creek were removed. Jim Moynihan's in the audience. Are there any topics you want to bring up, Jim? Thank you, Jim. I also attended the Triumpho Water and Sanitation District Board meeting on October 23rd, and we'll have an open house, so we moved to new headquarters in Westlake Village. We'll have a grand opening and an open house in January. And then talking about the Ventura County Public Works app, I use it all the time. I submitted a request to replace the faded Canaan Road sign, street sign at Smoke Tree, that they respond. Also, the trash cans on Canaan have not been being emptied on a weekly basis. It's been reported and being watched, so that's being taken care of. I'm going to skip the consent agenda item 12 because we voted to do that. We're moving on to the regular agenda. Item 13 is Mark Perryman. Mark, you're up, number 13. Your comments on the MAC? So Mark's going to be talking about the resolution and review the responsibilities of the members of the MAC. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chair. Microphone. Are we good? Can you hear me? Awesome. Thank you so much, Chair Nye. At a previous Oak Park municipal... That is a fire alarm.
We gotta go.
We're going to call it back to order at 8:58. Thank you, Florence.
Thank you, Chair Nye. Apologies for the short break there. We had a little bit of a fire alarm here at Oak Park High School, and everyone is okay, as far as we know. Thank goodness. Chair Nye, members of the MAC community, over the last several MAC meetings, there's been a lot of discussion that we've received individually from different MAC members, as well as here in the actual Municipal Advisory Council, over what is the MAC? What is the formation of the MAC? What is it about? And when we represent ourselves in the community, how does that work? And before I go further to actually talk about what is the resolution that establishes the MAC and the, how it's formed, a couple of quick notes. None of this is new. So I want everyone to know that. This is, while you have a new elected supervisor for your area, we didn't implement this. This is how it has been. In fact, this is actually how it's been since June 3rd, 1975, when the Board of Supervisors formed this very Municipal Advisory Council. In front of you is that board resolution that referenced Section 31010 of Government Code, and that Government Code's from the state of California, authorizing the Ventura County Board of Supervisors by resolution to create a Municipal Advisory Council, which is this body that we are here today. And that's for any unincorporated area in the county to advise the board on such matters that relate to that area as may be provided to the area of the county or other local governmental agencies, including to, but not limited to, matters of planning, public works, safety, welfare, and public health. I'm going to read it one more time. I'm going to paraphrase the first part. The Municipal Advisory Council, and I'll say that part one more time. Municipal Advisory Council is focused on matters of planning, public works, safety, welfare, and public health. That is the resolution that this board has had since its formation. In fact, there's a document. I will find it and see if I can include it as a part of the minutes for this MAC meeting. The state of California actually recognized the formation by the Ventura County Board of Supervisors of this very MAC back in the late 70s for the foresight of this community, the development in this community, the planned housing developments in this community, the roads, the public works that exist, were all advised upon by members of this very municipal advisory council back in the 70s and 80s, 90s, and up until today. And as you're very much aware, there's not a lot of development because we are a master plan community that's built out, right? And so that you're not seeing new housing development occur. You're not seeing new parks get built out. This resolution goes into quite a bit more detail and about how council communications should work. They transmit concerns or recommendations regarding specific items of the council by forwarding written comments to the Board of Supervisors, Planning Commission, County Planning Director, CEO, Executive Officer of LAFCO as appropriate. So notably, you'll note throughout this resolution that this Municipal Advisory Council's formation and its focus is about specifically communicating to the County of Ventura Board of Supervisors on matters having to do with planning, public works, safety, welfare, and public health. Now, notwithstanding that, there's a lot going on in the community, so let's talk about it. So, matters of planning. So, you'll note that in a prior Municipal Advisory Council meeting, there were discussions about new antenna or an increased height of antenna. That is a matter of planning where our planning department, very specifically within the Resource Management Agency of the county, gets to approve or not approve the location of such a site. Now, there's a lot of legal, very specific items that come into play here. So, for instance, cellular towers, for instance, there's federal government code that supersedes local government code. So, if there's a discussion on health and safety of cell sites, the federal government has said that is not something that a local body, including the County of Ventura, can actually block. That's the Federal Communications, the FCC has made that determination. There's Supreme Court case law on that. However, what we can do as a community is say, hey, aesthetically, this doesn't look great. Is there another spot or where it could look? Is there a way that we could change the color? Or could we maybe put some trees around it or something of that nature? That is absolutely 100% in this Municipal Advisory Council scope. Talked about public, well, let me give you one other example as it pertains to planning matters. So if an individual, these are all examples, right? If an individual wanted to bulldoze their house and reconstruct their house and change their house and they weren't in a homeowners association that has CC&Rs, right? Well, and actually, in that case, they would still come to the County of Ventura for different types of permits, but the CC&Rs would also come in place in terms of the style and the look and how this actual new rebuild project would look and feel. But not the CC&R based items for the HOA, but the planning based items for permits and how the house would look within our community would come to this MAC. And this MAC would have an opportunity to discuss those specific items if those items were coming up. And we don't see a lot of those, right? It hasn't come up quite a bit, and we're not seeing a lot of redevelopment. But if it were to occur, this Municipal Advisory Council would provide advisement to Supervisor Gorel and then back to the planning department and their planning hearings at the government center where there's discussion on that. We talked about public works. So thank you, Chair Nye, for talking about the public works app. So the health of your streets, right? The bike lanes that exist, the traffic lights and signals, synchronization. We were just chatting about that at another municipal advisory council where they were concerned about the lack of synchronization of lights in certain areas. That 100% is in the scope of this municipal advisory council to provide feedback on those specific items. An individual this evening chatted about a box culvert that runs underneath Canaan Road, where on both sides of Canaan Road, one part is next to Oak Park High School, and the other side is behind, next to the park, Oak Canyon Park. That box culvert and its clean out and maintenance and all that, 100% in the scope of this municipal advisory council, as is other public works related items. Now, on that specifically, the individual earlier was talking about what happened to the trees that were on both sides of the, or on one side of the box culvert, and how they cut all that. We actually looked into where things were after there was feedback at the last municipal advisory council. The County of Ventura had zero jurisdiction on any area in front of the box culvert on either side of the road. In fact, it was entirely in Rancho Simi Recreation and Park District's jurisdiction. And we had asked Rancho Simi Recreation and Parks District if they wanted the county to come in and actually assist, but to do so would require us to have an easement on both areas to actually do the clean out. So in other words, Rancho Simi Recreation and Park District took care of their areas, and that was at a response to something that came out of the last municipal advisory council meeting, where there was an individual in the public that specifically stated that in the last storm there was significant backup of brush and debris that caused flooding into the nearby housing development that was there, and they were greatly concerned ahead of this upcoming storm season about where things were. So we looked into that, and the matter's been handled to the point from an environmental impact perspective. That is Rancho Simi Recreation Park District's land and area, and we would hope that they would follow all of the required laws as it pertains to, I think somebody mentioned reptilian habitat or otherwise. I think they have to pull permits. I think Brian Board Member Trzynski had indicated, or maybe it was Board Member Diaz earlier indicated, one of them indicated the grant for $1 million to, and they had to get some permits for Fish and Wildlife to do some work. So Rancho Simi is accustomed to doing those things. I'm assuming that they already did an evaluation of that prior to whatever their clean out is in front of that. But long story short, public works items in the scope of this municipal advisory council. And so, and the reason we're talking about these things, and by the way, I'll talk about safety. Obviously, we talk of public safety. We get our public safety reports. We're talking about new student resource officer and sheriff that might be available to the community. We're looking at that. Welfare items specifically. The county has a healthcare agency and human services agency where we help homeless individuals, mental health individuals, behavioral health individuals, et cetera, with a variety of different things. And we provide significant services in that capacity throughout the county. And so it's a matter of, is there an interest or a need or a want for those specific things here in the Oak Park community? And the reason we're going through all of this is, back to what I mentioned, the MAC and some members of the community were, well, what is the purpose of this MAC? And what does it do? And what is its jurisdiction? How can it play an important role in the community? One of the board members recently, I'm going to actually pause on the resolution. There's quite a bit more detail in here. And just due to sake of time for the Municipal Advisory Council, I want to encourage you to read the resolution. I would encourage the public to read the resolution. This resolution is not set in stone. We can change this resolution at any point in time. The piece of it that we can't change is the requirements from the state of California for what is a municipal advisory council under Government Code 31010. But notwithstanding that, this is a flexible document beyond that in terms of other types of things that the Municipal Advisory Council can do. I want to address a couple other things that we've heard from individually from different board members over the last several meetings outside of Municipal Advisory Council meetings. And this is not a majority of the board together in communications to us. These are individual conversations just to kind of alleviate concerns about potential Brown Act violations or otherwise. There's none of that. Some of the questions that have come up is, as a municipal advisory council, if I'm on an outside committee, what is my role and responsibility there? And how can I represent myself, right? And that's a really good question. Is it the first thing that we have to talk about is, well, what is the Municipal Advisory Council's formation, right? Remember that its focus is to go back to the Board of Supervisors to provide advisement on the items pertaining to planning, public works, safety, welfare, and public health. And I know that we have very engaged board members. This community has excellent representation from all across the community, and we encourage participation from the community and in these meetings, and even participation in the future if there are openings on the Municipal Advisory Council. We have a board member that is on the Triunfo Water and Sanitation District. We have which is a separate elected body than the Municipal Advisory Council. We have a board member that is a representative to the Rancho Simi Recreation and Park District local Oak Park Committee, right? And we have other responsibilities that perhaps the board has said, hey, does anybody want to be a member that perhaps goes to the Oak Park Unified School District meeting as our representative, to have our eyes and ears for kind of what's going on there. And I would say all of those things, based upon the resolution that's here and the benefit for the community, are important. It's great. It's fantastic. It's excellent because the board members that are here are truly the eyes and ears of what is going on across a number of different boards and commissions and things that exist in the community. But notwithstanding that, I just want to remind the board of this resolution, and what this board's formation is, and the importance that is within that. I'll leave with one last thing, unless there's any questions, of course, and we can chat about those, which is as an individual, right? So, or as a MAC member, if you are going to one of these other boards or commissions, or any city council meeting, a state government meeting, a federal government meeting, how do you represent yourself? Well, because you are in the public eye, because you are a member of this Municipal Advisory Council, unless this Municipal Advisory Council has an agenda item, and that agenda item is, again, focused to directing the Board of Supervisors on something, where they voted in block, in agreement on a specific item, can an individual of this Municipal Advisory Council go and state at a meeting that, as a member of the Oak Park Municipal Advisory Council, I am here and I'm representing the vote of majority of the MAC on this specific item. And notwithstanding that, the reason why that's important is we've actually heard some feedback about, hey, the calendar for this meeting doesn't always work out that well when there are, for say, Rancho Simi Recreation Park District meetings. And is there an opportunity perhaps for us to change the calendar for this meeting in perhaps 2024 to look at the Oak Park Unified School District calendar, the Triunfo Sanitation District calendar, the Rancho Simi, and other calendars? And we plan to, at our next Municipal Advisory Council meeting, present a calendar that looks at all of those meetings, where we can find them going out into 2024, with what those meetings look like going into 2024, for the MAC to ultimately approve that calendar. So hopefully, in doing that, if this Municipal Advisory Council, a board member, wanted to bring forward an agenda item, and they let our office know about that, and we're able to meet the Brown Act requirements for that, to post that agenda 72 hours in advance, absolutely the Municipal Advisory Council could vote on an item, and then if there's agreement by the block or the majority of the block, again, focused on these items that are on the resolution, then absolutely could represent. Now, let's say you're in a situation where you don't have that authority of the Municipal Advisory Council. Well, I'm not sure if anyone saw that Rancho Simi Recreation Park District meeting. There was an earlier item that was discussing districting. And I did not have authorization from Supervisor Gorell to speak on behalf of the office. And so I said very clearly up front, I'm Mark Perryman. I'm a resident of Oak Park, California. And up front, I'm also the Chief of Staff for Ventura County Supervisor Jeff Gorell. I am not here today on his behalf, and I'm not here today authorized to speak on behalf of this item. However, as a resident, and then my feedback. And so the reason why I'm presenting that as such is because if you don't provide that disclaimer up front, an individual of the community may think that you are still representing the Municipal Advisory Council at that meeting. So it's important to provide that disclaimer up front that this is your capacity, but perhaps it's not a decision of the MAC at that time. So hopefully all of that makes sense. I'm sure there's quite a bit of, you may have questions on this, and we'd be happy to entertain those questions today. I know, unfortunately, a couple of our Municipal Advisory Council members were unable to make today's meeting, and so if we need to also rehear this item, at least from an agenda perspective, to allow for feedback at a future meeting too, we're happy to do that as well.
Or they can listen to it in the Zoom recording.
Brian, go
Yeah,
ahead.
Madam Chair, the way I'm seeing this and the way I understand it and the way we've talked about this quite a bit, there's two camps of community decision-making that we're involved in some respect. One, operational. The other one is land use permitting. In the event, in the matter of a tennis court going to a pickleball, that's operational. That is not a land use. Now, the issues of traffic, noise, absolutely, those are important for the MAC to be addressing. And we will get involved in that because of the permits. Noise is an environmental impact. So I'm sure they'll do a California Environmental Quality Act as well. But that's why I'm saying we cannot, when people come in, and it's great to have input, but we don't have that jurisdiction with Rancho Simi on their operations. Am I correct? Could you be very clear here, please?
Sure, absolutely. Brian, you're bringing up a very important question. This is kind of a multi-part answer. The first is, what is the County of Ventura in its formation versus what is the Rancho Simi Recreation and Park District in its formation in this example? They are two separate governmental agencies. That's the first piece. But remember, our resolution states very clearly that on matters having to do with planning, public works, safety, welfare, and public health, do we have an opportunity to opine, this board opine and provide advice to Supervisor Gorell. And as I indicated earlier in my comments, we did receive advisement from the community at former meetings through public comments, being very specific about interest in an item, and we advocated on behalf of the community for that. Now, we talked about the two separate governmental agencies, but I think a question that comes from what you mentioned is, at what point in time does this MAC have an opportunity to get involved in decision-making as it pertains to the planning-related item from, very specifically, Rancho Simi Recreation and Park District? And that example applies to what I mentioned earlier when it comes to a planning item like a house. When you pull a permit for your house, maybe you've demolished your house, right? And upon demolishment of your house and trying to rebuild it, there's a bunch of permits that are pulled for that. And there's as you mentioned, there could be a California CEQA requirements and other requirements. Through that, there's generally an environmental impact report that's done. An environmental impact report or an environmental impact statement are very specific legal documents that evaluate things like what we've heard, traffic, right? Noise, but not just evaluating them, but also ensuring that there's proper mitigations that are in place. So all of this to say, when those permits or when permits are pulled for a property, and those permits are not a ministerial permit, meaning you just check the boxes and you get your permit, like different types of permits that exist like that. When it's a discretionary permit, that discretionary permit comes to our office, it will come to this MAC, and this MAC will have an opportunity to opine on that very specifically, and then we can actually alert, based upon advisement, alert the community back. And should we receive, and it sounds like when we receive perhaps that feedback from planning, it will likely be agendized here, right? I would say it absolutely would be agendized here since there's so much community input. And we would be reviewing that, right? We would be reviewing it. We'd be reviewing and discussing what are the changes and the things that are coming through with that. And we would evaluate at that point in time the environmental impact report as well to make sure that if there is any impact, folks were talking about fire engines going down the street. Folks were talking about traffic. Folks were talking about noise, right? There's other considerations as well that weren't discussed there. Perhaps there are plants that are rare plants or plants that have to be protected in some regard. That would all come about this report, and we would have to review that report in total. And so at that point in time, that is when this committee would absolutely opine on something like that. In terms of when that's going to happen, I'm going to have to check into that and take a look specifically at when those types of permits and things would be pulled.
Okay. And on a parallel issue there, something that's very important to me, and they're doing it following the letter of the law, but it ultimately, this is the way elections are going to be run starting next year for Rancho Board of Directors. Okay, this is how their programs, trails, pools, community center. It's how it's going to operate in Oak Park. So with a new representative, I wanted to have that issue agendized tonight, and I actually got the PowerPoint presentation from CME and got permission to include it in the package. And I wrote a small report because I want the community to be aware of this. Is it a really, really important issue here? Okay, this is how you're going to be governed in this respect. But and that's why you and I started talking. When it got to operational, this is an operational issue. It's not a land use. It'll affect land use down the road, but it's not a specific land use issue. And I had to wrap my mind around that for quite a bit. And that's why I asked if you would present this tonight, because as we move forward as a committee, as a council, and we all are on different committees, we have to understand we're a land use component, whether it's a single family home or, God forbid, a shopping mall on Canaan being converted, okay? That's us in landscaping. But if it's operational, we're not involved in this. I mean, we should know. It's great, but we can't officially put a letter through your office of Gorell, Supervisor Gorell, to say Rancho or to Mountain Restoration Trust. We don't have that authority. Correct?
If the item's focus was in the County of Ventura's focus, right? As it pertains specifically to items that you could advise the Board of Supervisors on that are in their scope specifically, then yes, absolutely. In this case, though, this is a separate governmental body, and I want to just make folks aware of this. Board Member Trzynski is absolutely correct, and I would encourage folks to participate in Rancho Simi Recreation and Park District's separate hearings and meetings that are specifically talking about their redistricting process. That redistricting, it's not even redistricting, it's districting process in compliance with the California Voter Rights Act, very specifically. It is very important to participate in that. However, that governmental agency's operations, including their trash provider, their water bill, their choice of landscaping within their jurisdiction, their choice to purchase a certain type of vehicle to run their operations, their choice of fencing or fencing provider, all of those types of things are the Rancho Simi Recreation and Park District's board and their authority to execute that. And so but your concern is well pointed, but we just have to make sure that it's there. There's one other piece, especially on this note, that's very important as it pertains to districting specifically. there's very specific laws around a hearing process that their executive director has reminded us about. And he wanted to be very clear and very concretely specific to the community that any kind of review or process that might exist outside of their hearing process is outside of their hearing process. And it opens up to concern and question and liability. And it doesn't allow their governmental body to hear the feedback to make the decisions. We don't have any decisions over if they have 5 districts, if they have 7 districts, if they have 9 districts, if they district at all, if the district here is in Oak Park, or if it's in Wood Ranch in Oak Park, or whatever the situation is. And that's the unfortunate reality of that.
Thank you.
So I have a question, Mark. So we heard from 20-some residents today that had some concerns about quality of life in Oak Park. And my question is, we have not had that on an agenda item. And my understanding, I wasn't at the meetings, but my understanding is that Supervisor Gorel did weigh in with a point of view. Do we have an opportunity as a MAC to revisit this?
Absolutely. This Municipal Advisory Council, as it pertains to a matter of planning, public safety, and the other items we chatted about, we could absolutely agendize something, but I want to be very specific of, at this point in time, we don't have a permit application that is from Rancho Simi Recreation and Park District. We don't have plans. We don't have an environmental impact statement or an environmental impact report. We don't have, we're not in a CEQA or they're not in a CEQA process where there's compliance requirements of things like that. So a review of their project where we can confirm from a quality of life perspective that the very real concerns of the community are being addressed. We don't have those documents yet to yet formulate a concrete directional opinion back to Supervisor Gorel and the planning director at the county, as well as if there's a hearing at the county, generally there's a hearing on some items like this to direct that process. So we don't have those documents yet to make an informed evaluation of that. And by the way, this Municipal Advisory Council, we can go back in history and try to pull it up. Back when there were subdivisions being constructed here, those subdivisions actually had that. They actually brought forward the plans for the community, the environmental impact. There was concerns about fire escape routes, and in those environmental impact statements at that point in time, they had to substantiate based upon the quantity of people living here and the cars and the analysis that was done at that time that the roads were sufficient at that point in time based upon that data. So, and at the time, I'm sure I wasn't here, but the Municipal Advisory Council likely made a recommendation to the then supervisor, and that was able to be evaluated as part of the process.
So it might be an opportunity for us to bring this up as a MAC council, as an agenda item going forward. We probably have to look at the timing.
That's
to
right.
Make sure that we can set it up correctly.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Any other, JL, any comments or questions for Mark?
So there are other municipal advisory council. Are they structured the same, or do they have with us, or are there other areas that they're privy to do, or?
Absolutely. So good question. There are 5 supervisorial districts throughout the county. Throughout the supervisorial districts in the county, I believe there's 12 municipal advisory councils, but we'll confirm that number and get back to you across other supervisorial districts. Each supervisor is responsible for their municipal advisory councils and getting advice back from their municipal advisory councils. This supervisor, Supervisor Gorel, has 4 municipal advisory councils: SOMAS, SOMAS Municipal Advisory Council, Casa Caneo, Santa Rosa Valley, and Oak Park as all unincorporated municipal advisory councils. They all have similar resolutions that were put in place by a former Board of Supervisors that we've inherited. What I can tell you is, in terms of the focus of the government code of Section 31010, is all about that first preamble section that I mentioned of advice on matters pertaining to planning, public works, safety, welfare, and public health. To your point, though, where does it diverge? There's some interesting things. This Municipal Advisory Council is an elected Municipal Advisory Council. So is our Santa Rosa Valley Municipal Advisory Council. Casa Caneo and Somas, they're appointed. And in other areas, I believe, we'll check. There are other areas that are also appointed as well. There could be some other slight differences. We'll have to take a look at that. But again, it can't override the California Government Code section that has that preamble focus.
Okay. Thank you.
Of course.
Anything else, Mark? Should we move on to item number 14, which is Ventura County Public Works request? Do you want me to read that, or do you want to read that?
Take it away.
All right. I'm real pro at submitting requests, but for the month of September, a total of 8 requests were made using the VC Public Works app. The Public Works online portal is used for reporting issues, traffic, graffiti, and actually graffiti is me, but there's nobody else to do it. Out of 8 requests, 3 have been closed and 5 are pending. We actually, I submitted requests for Oak Park's Unified School District. Brendan Callahan wanted those pylons repositioned or reset up near Medea Creek Middle School and also near Oak Hills Elementary School.
Yeah, why
and
did
they've
they
been,
remove that?
oh no, they've added them in.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it helps with traffic flow. I live on Churchwood, so it really impacts me. I can't turn left, but anyway. But when they get knocked down, I submit a request to get them put back in. And I'm telling you, the county has done a fantastic job keeping those updated and in good shape. So I'm really happy with their responsiveness. And you can also submit requests for landscape issues, which you had mentioned earlier, Mark. That's it for tonight. We have future agenda items talking about the calendar for next year and review of county road enroachment ordinances. That's it for us tonight.
Madam Chair.
Our last meeting will be next, November?
November 30th. We don't have one in December.
No.
I'm sorry.
We'll meet in December.
Brian?
Madam Chair, can we add a third item to the future agenda items? I'd like us to have a MAC workshop with Supervisor Girl's office on the budget for next year, and be able to help provide advisory comments on what are important and have the public here, the community here to say, I mean, I've heard a lot of comments about landscaping is not great. Maybe we want to put more into that. I don't know, but I think we should do it early in the new year. Don't wait. We kind of got caught behind the 8 ball this year, and it was too late for us to participate.
Board Member Trzynski, thank you for bringing this up. You and I had a one-on-one conversation about this as well. You're absolutely right. We would love to do this. We'll add it to future agenda to review what the budget looks like. We wanted to do it earlier this year, but as it was mentioned in the prior Municipal Advisory Council meeting, our budget looked like a deficit with an incredible deficit that was unable to be overcome without significant other changes, radical changes. And so as we presented in another meeting, we rectified that and found where there were challenges, improved that without cutting any services to Oak Park residents at all. But unfortunately, because of the budget cycle that started again on July 1st for the next fiscal year, we ran right up against that window. And so I appreciate you bringing it up. We didn't intend to overlook that before. We wanted to make sure that was rectified as a starting point. So that way we had something to build upon.
Thank you. That'd be outstanding.
So, and also we want to make sure that we add the Dare Hill discussion in a future agenda.
Yes.
So that's it for tonight. Thank you, everyone, for your coming and representing your points of view. I appreciate it. I'm going to adjourn the meeting. Our next meeting is November 30th. It'll be our last one this year. We're adjourning at 9:35. Thank you so much for your attendance.